Ladies and gentlemen, let us look at test containers and Kafka tonight. And Spring Boot, of course, as usual. Test containers gives us and solves a problem where we have an integration test and we actually have a dependency to a third-party system like a Kafka or Redis or a database or whatever we need to connect to. When we need to connect to something before we start our tests, then we can use test containers. It is awesome, it's easy to use, and the documentation is also quite good. So, let us just get started and look at some code actually. Yeah, we will just look at some code directly. I've created this project. This is a Spring Boot project I've created right here. I've created that by pressing File, New Projects. Then I got this menu right here. Then I chose Maven. Java 17 compliance and 19 JDK. Then I added Lombok. Then I added web, Spring Boot web right there. Then I added Kafka. Yeah. Kafka, and you have to be careful right there. There's actually both the streams and no streams. Take the no streams version. Yeah, and then we have the test containers right here. This contains those right there. Then I press next create, and then I got this project right here. I also added Redis, but I want to create another video about the Redis ones right here. So here we have our problem is that we are or not problem. We are, let's say that we're integrating to a Kafka system, an asynchronous system. Asynchronous systems are really stable, are really robust, so it's a good idea to connect to those. Kafka is very popular. I myself actually prefer RabbitMQ. I think it's easier to use and has more features. But that, of course, that's my opinion. But Kafka is very popular, and it also has a lot of features. And it has this topic. It has this topic concept instead of the queues and the hops. The gateways. So what have I set up right here? First of all, there's some configuration that I have set up right here. I've set up Kafka both to be producer and consumer inside this application right here. So that means that I have some consumer configuration. Here I have a value, my bootstrap address, and this is the address that I need to connect to. Then I have my consumer factory that I have defined right here. And here we are setting some IDs, the group ID right here. The group ID that is for consumers can be divided into groups. So you're grouping all the consumers that are listening for one topic. Then those could be space interested. So that is your group ID. It's just a way to logically actually organize your consumers. Then we have the topic configuration right here, because when you start up the Kafka, when you start up of a new instance of your Kafka, then you do not have any topics. You do not have anything. And this actually helps us with that problem, because we create a new topic in this line right here, where it says new topic, and then we annotate this with beans, so it's run, and the whole class is annotated with configuration. So Spring knows that it needs to look into this class and create these beans that we have right here. I am creating a topic mic, and with the number of partition just one, that's fine. And then I'm setting up my Kafka admin right here. That is how we can actually use this and create this new topic. That is because we are setting up the Kafka admin right here. In old days, you had to run some command lines to actually create these topics. But fortunately, now we can just have one class like this and annotate them. As we see right here. I will make the code available as usual on my GitHub, so you can take it afterwards. Then we have the producer parts. So the producer part, and again, I'm adding a profile. That is because then I can run. That is just because I want to, when I run my test, and I only want the Kafka code for my Kafka test, and I only want my Redis code for my Redis test. So that is why I have these profiles right here. Then I have my bootstrap address right here again, and this is for producing. Producing means sending messages to the topic. That is what the producer does. And the most important thing is actually this line here in the bottom right here, because here we are creating the Kafka template. And the Kafka template, that is the one that is used to push the messages. Yes. The listener, this is the one that is used to actually listen this class right here, this is where the fun is, because this is actually where we are listening for the messages on this topic right here. And my group ID right here is Mike with capital M. This is just a group of consumers. Yes, so that was actually the code. Let us now go look at the test, because this is where the interesting part is. With test containers, we can use something called a generic container. That is actually what I use in my Redis example that I will show you in another video. Here we have a generic container. This means that this generic container does not have any special handles for us. It just spins up a Docker image of our choice. If we use the Kafka container, then we get some more handles and some more things where we can actually get, for instance, the bootstrap address, which we need when we are dealing with Kafka, right? So that is why we use that. And here we are, here I'm auto-wiring in the Kafka template so I can send some messages. Look, this is a static declaration right here. And again, right here, I have my static code right here, which is run before my Spring Boot context starts up. That is why it's so important that it's a static. If you just try to run your Kafka container, when your Spring context has started, and that can actually be done if we remove the static and then add container like this, then the Kafka container would actually start up when your Spring Boot context has been started up, and then all the properties of what you need to connect to has already been set. And the way the test containers actually work is that it exposes your application, it exposes whatever is inside it to a random port. Yes, to a random port. So this means that we do not know, we don't know which port is being used locally. Of course, we know which port is being used inside the container. If, for instance, if it's Redis, then it's 6379. If it's Kafka, then it's a bootstrap address that we that we have inside the container, and of course that is known by the container itself. And we need that information, and we need that information after our container has started up. After our container started up, then a random port has been exposed, and then we can get our bootstrap address out, and we can also print it out so we can see actually which one it is. Then we can set a system property like this, Kafka bootstrap address. This means that when we set a system property like this, then Spring Boot will take this instead of using its own property from the application.properties file. So that is why we can actually overwrite the bootstrap address like this. Of course, this looks a little bit clumsy, but there's some other ways of getting around it, and that is to use something called dynamic properties. I will show you that in the end, how to do that, but for now, this is just how we do it. So we start the Kafka right there, and then when we are done, we do not need to stop the Kafka again. The test containers will actually help us do that. So whenever the test has stopped running, then the test containers will actually stop both it will actually start up two when we call start right here. Two containers will be started up, one with the test container logic and another one with the Kafka instance inside it. So we get two, and both of those will be stopped afterwards automatically and also deleted, so they're not just lying around and being messy. This is my Spring test right here. I'm sending some messages, 1, 2, 3, and I'm sending on a different topic, so we can see that we only receive the mic topics, of course, the first and second. We should not see the Susan message because we are listening on topic mic up in our code, so of course we should only see that. Then I go through a loop a lot of times, 4 times, and that is because we need to sleep a bit, so we can, so the listener has time to actually, to consume those Kafka messages, and then go through them one by one. And then we actually also send, when we are sleeping, then once in a while, every 25th time, then we actually send a new message that says, now I'm sending a new message right here. This is modulus. It is awesome for doing something once in a while. This means take the y, divide it by 25, and then if the rest is if the rest of the number is 0, then do this. So this means that this would actually be run every 25th one through of this loop. Now let us press play and see what actually happens with this Kafka right here. There's a lot of debug output because that's because the logging is per default debug. Of course, that can be changed, but it's just in our look what happens now here. Log what happens. So we get a lot of messages, but let us just go down to the output, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Then we can actually see that we got some messages. Yes, we got this message right here. First message. So this is our listener. This is my Kafka listener that actually gets this information right here. It gets the first message, it gets the second message, it gets a message for every 25 times we run through the loop. Of course, also to begin with, that also ends up with the modulus 0. Modulus 25 equals to 0. So, and then we have a lot of messages that are being sent here. So that's quite cool. Awesome. Let us now check that. Let us try again, and then I'll press the services button so we can actually see which spring. Oh, look what happened there. And here we have our Docker containers, one test container right here, and then we have the Kafka container, which is running right there. So this means that all the output that we see right here, this is from the Kafka, and all of the output that we see right here, that is from the test container. It has its own life right there. And then at some point when it's done running our test, then both of these will then be shut down again. But right now, they just give a lot of, oh, there it disappeared. Did you see that? No more containers. This is exactly the purpose of test containers. And is it only made for Java, Mike? No. It is made for a lot of other languages also. Let us just go out here and look. It's made for Go, .NET, Rust, Node.js, Python. Does that mean that we do not need to mock everything off with Mockito? Yes, because when you mock everything off with Mockito, first of all, you create some errors. So that means that your tests actually will run at some point. And then when you come out on a real-life system, a real-life Kafka system, then you will get an error. Maybe you forgot to, maybe there was no topic, or you forgot to create the topic with the topic configuration and the Kafka admin that we use right here. There can be a lot of things right that did not work. So it's awesome for running integration tests that would then resemble how your application is running in production. Of course, when you're done, and you can actually, especially, it's also good when you start up against and run against any integration, because to begin with, you do not know much about Kafka, right? When you start up integrating to that, so of course you need some good tests that actually run against a real Kafka system. And then, of course, at some point, then when you say, okay, now I know that my code is actually correct, then go in and clean up your codes and start disabling your. Is it called disable? Yeah, okay, sorry, it's called disabled in JUnit5. So then you can go and disable your, or you can give them a special group. You can also tag them with something, something like obsolete or something like that. Something obsolete, because at some point then you know that your code was actually okay, and you just needed this code for whenever you're coding something new. So there's no reason for calling this every time, because it actually takes a little bit of time to spin up a container, to run your code, and then to stop your container afterwards again. So I would definitely use this while programming and while making things work. And then when things work, then disable your test or tag them so they not run automatically every time your CI pipeline runs. That was it for me for tonight. Have a great evening as usual. Hope to see you again soon. And thank you very much for all of the comments that you place. They make me happy always. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.